Welcome to Every Night is Game Night, because we all love game nights with our family and friends. But when you play solo games, then every night can be a game night. Check us out along with other great podcasts at dicetowernetwork.com.
Every Night is Game Night, episode 145, Sarah's War Fleet of Cartographers. Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome back to the Every Night is Game Night podcast. I'm your host, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us. We are joined once again by the Kickstarter Roundup crew. We have another episode for you. We have another pile of games that came in on Kickstarter from smaller publishers. Some really interesting, diverse. We had last week, we had a kind of a unifying theme. This week is just from all over the place. And we're really excited to bring those to you. But let me introduce our esteemed guests first. I should probably do this ladies first. I'm so rude. Liz, how could you tolerate me? I'm so rude. I'd never introduce you first. This is Liz from Beyond Solitaire. Please forgive me.
Oh, I just assumed you saved the best for last.
Okay. Oh. You turned it around. Wow. And bringing up the rear.
Wow. Hey guys, take care. Hey party people, and you guys right here, take care. I say good day.
This is Jeremy from Jambalaya Plays Games. Please, Jeremy, come back.
Oh my god. Hey party people, I'm back. Hey, whoa.
All right, so
Jeremy, always a good day when I get to talk to you.
Well,
absolutely.
Thank you.
So what we have a little bit of a different structure. So we have 3 games that we've each individually played, and then 1 game that we've enjoyed all together. So we're going to run through those 3 games first that we've individually played, and we're going to go with actually, Jeremy, we're going to hit you up first. Is that okay? I'm actually really excited about talking about the game that you're going to talk about. So Jeremy, tell us about the roll and write game Cartographers.
Okay, so Cartographers is from Thunderworks Games, Matt, and these Keith Matejka Keith Matejka did not design this one. This is designed by Jordy Adams. Now it is in the role player universe. They had another one called, of course, you have Role Player, you got the Minions, and then you also have Lockup, which is a friend of mine, Stan Kordonsky's game. He's from Wisconsin too. And
I don't understand how you can be surrounded by game designers and game publishers and game crafters. Everything is in Wisconsin. I don't understand this. I got nothing out here.
The Midwest kicks out a lot, man. We are the heart.
I can't believe it, you guys. And you couldn't pay me to live in that snowy, sunless expanse. No way.
Hey, you know what? We get all the seasons, but we really get the worst 2 a lot.
Yes. Yes.
We get pounded by the worst 2 pretty hard. Okay, so this game is in that verse. You can play. You really, as long as you have sheets, you can probably play most of them. You can play to it. It's cartographer, so it's like the roll and write game is a grid. And it's got, on one side, it's got really nothing. And then the other side, it's got like a little mountainous area. So you're kind of, you're flipping and writing, not rolling and writing. And you're laying out these cards, A, B, C, and D. And then you're also laying out seasons. Okay, so you're going through seasons. And each season has a card number threshold. And then also at the bottom, you're going to have another row that's going to have all the conditions for scoring. Okay, I'm going to come back to that. But what you're doing is you're going to have this deck, and the deck you're going to flip is going to have specific types of lands and also like a Tetris style choice. So it'll say, hey, you're going to have a forest square, a land square, a water square, and really you're just straight up writing in squigglies that match what the color and the shape is in your little, in your little grid, because you're actually making a little map. And you can pretty much put them everywhere, but you're paying attention to what's going to score this round. So let's get to that.
Wait, so you're actually writing in different colors?
No, you're not.
It's like different
shapes. You're just writing like, okay, so if you put a square with water, it's going to have like 3 wavy lines in it.
Like why don't more roll and writes do that? Why can't I get like a little colored pencil set up and like I'm making a map so I can make blue water and green. I'm sorry, I'm editorializing. My bad.
You are. You're going so hard. Go on, hashtag so hard. Hashtag too hard. Hashtag too hard. Doing the most. All right. So what happens is like you're making a choice. So you'll have the choices of what the land color, and you're also going to have choice of the shape. And one shape will be like, kind of like a T-bar, like Tetris, some weird, kind of setups. And you're placing them according to how you want to set this stuff up. And then you also have one side that may have a coin, and coins are one of the ways that you score. So you're going through this deck, and some cards will have like 1, 2, and 3 thresholds as you flip them, and you want to make sure that you kind of get what you're trying to do done by the end of, let's say, the number 8. So you're flipping over, cards with 2, 2, 1. And then you're trying to maybe the round will be over by a certain amount of time. So then once it hits the threshold, you're going to start scoring these. And the cards, the seasons will tell you which A, B, or C, D cards score. So, so spring, you start out with spring. The A and B cards will score. So then the A and B cards, you'll have these types of scoring under them. So you'll have ones that say, hey, if you pin out corners, you get 1 point for each one. If you have a whole bunch of rivers next to lands, you get, 1 point for each. And then they have a goblin card. So when you draw these goblin cards, and they so screw with what you're doing. So what happens when you get these goblin cards, they have these weird shapes. And you give the card to the person to your left, I believe, and they get to write it in for you. So they get to kind of like screw you over. And what happens is the gaps that you have around that become negative points. So really you're trying to work your way out of negative points each round and like kind of maximizing and playing the long game. Yeah, it's just a really good roll and write. It's a very solid one. It's got an A and B side. That one kind of has like a little like kind of gap in the middle. And, it just presents a different challenge. But I find this one really enjoyable. Haven't had playing it solo. The only difference is the way the goblin cards work, and they kind of I think they kind of like cascade down the side of the certain side of the map where you can fit it in, and they kind of basically come down like a bad Tetris and mess up what you're doing. But it's like, it's still fun. So it's still fun because you got to figure this out.
I've really been enjoying Cartographers. I think it's a blast. It scratches the right sort of like Tetris / puzzly thinking about scoring conditions itch. Yeah. For me, I've been really getting a kick out of it.
Well, scoring conditions are tough too, which I like.
Yeah,
some of them are really tough. Like some of them are like layups. Like, okay, if you have, one thing in every column, then you like every row and column is that one that comes out, and I'm thinking like, all right, that's super easy. Or like I said, if you have the water next to a land, that's easy. But some of these you got to like do a combo of that, and they're just really hard, or having like a certain way enclosed and. There are some ones that are really difficult in here, and you could have a game where you get stuck with some pretty tough ones to pull off.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're going to master this game over time. You're not going to kick anybody's butt the first time you play. You're gonna have a lot of negative points. Believe me, you're going to have a lot. So and I highly recommend this one. It's under pre-order right now. It also has expansion with powers in it, and I have not used it. Have you used the characters with abilities list?
No, I've just been playing that base game, but I've just been like taking it everywhere. It's lunch. It's like, let me just do another map. And what's really kind of cute is my students are really interested in it too. Like, what are you doing? Because it looks cool.
And it has that same art from Role Player, so you're gonna be familiar with that. But my work crew, they are kind of like some of my buffers for casual games, and like they're all. I keep saying they're new, but we've been playing games for 2 years. But they really do represent kind of like, would I buy this? And like when I play with them, like this is immediately, like as soon as they got done, they were like, yeah, when is this coming out? Like, when is this coming out? I'm like, well, you can pre-order right now. Pre-orders right away. Like just right away. And like that's a really good sign because it is worth that. And like some of my reviewer friends, we just play the heck out of this. This is a pre-production copy. I'm playing the hell out of this. I'm about halfway through my sheets.
It's my favorite like pre-production copy of a game I've ever had.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, this is probably up there because I've been playing the heck out of this. Yeah, I got to laminate
Wow.
I'm running out of shit.
You're making all the people jelly with your pre-production copies. I don't have no pre-production copies. So that was Cartographers from Thunderworks Games. Our friend Keith Bateka over out in Wisconsin.
Hey. And you know what?
Go ahead and check that one out. It should be landing around JedCon, I think.
Yeah, sometime this summer. And I think it's only $25. So yeah, it's a good price. And by the way, man, it's always about good people and good publishers and good games. But Keith is a really nice guy. He puts out really high quality products, and I suspect this one to be just the same. A lot of detail, and I always say you're investing in the 3 levels there, good publisher, good person, and great games.
Yes.
All right. So actually, I messed up the order. I meant to do this in tandem with the game we all played, but why not? I'm just going to throw it in there right now. So the other roll and write game that we're going to cover today is Fleet the Dice game, which all of us have had a chance to play. This one was designed by was designed by Ben Pinchback and Matt Riddle, published by Eagle Griffin Games. These are the two that designed the original Fleet card game way back in the days of yore, 2012. One of the best engine building games that I've ever played. I actually still play it at least, a couple times a year. I'll pop it up, run through the solo of the card game. So I just love playing in the world of Fleet. Do you guys are familiar with the card game?
Yeah, you know what?
I have it and need to play it.
I had it and I just kind of no. I just, for some reason, I just didn't like it. I don't know. I remember when I play, I was like, I just don't like this game. And I even watched playthroughs and I thought I like it. Nope.
I love it. I love it. All right, but this is not Fleet the card game, and this is not it mechanically. It almost has nothing to do with it. The resemblance is theme and all that kind of stuff. So this is a dice game. It is a roll and write where you're going to be building your fleet of ships. You catch lots of fish. You're going to cash everything in the market. You're going to score points, and so it has kind of that rhythm of of going out fishing, building up your fleet, all that kind of stuff. So the whole game, the entire game, this game is so portable, it's ridiculous. The whole game is custom dice and your personal sheet. So your sheet is going to have 3 main sections that kind of follow, kind of map out what you're doing in the game. The first section are fishing tracks, and they have these different fishing specializations. So you get cod, you get lobster, you get shrimp, and all that good stuff. And you're going to have a bunch of bubbles in each track, and as you go along, you'll be filling in the bubbles, and then you're going to be getting powers as that goes along. You can do that during the first phase where you roll your custom dice, which is basically the fish, the cod, the cod and that kind of stuff, and you draft, and there's common roll, and you draft, and depending on what you're going to get. So that's the first part of the game. Second part of the game is this wharf phase. So that's the second set of custom dice, and it's basically kind of supplements to what you're doing. So you might have extra ships, you might have extra capacity on your stuff, you might have, you score extra points. You do the same thing. You draft whatever, you roll the common dice and you draft whatever you want, and you're trying to make these combos. You're trying to make things that match up with the type of fish that you already have. So that's basically the rhythm of the game. Not very complicated. You have one round where you have a draft, you have another round where you have a draft, and then there you go. So here is where the game stands out. And I have a feeling that Liz is licking her chops thinking about this. Jeremy's really enjoying this. Where this game stands out is the coin track and the combos that you can get out of that coin track.
Yeah.
At various points in the game, so it happens a lot. You get income, you get coins, and you're going to fill in that row. And then every once in a while, you're going to hit a star. And once you fill in a star, you get to basically get something else. So you get a star, you can get another cod, fill in the cod track. Now you have a cod boat, and it does something else. So as the game goes along, it's not very obvious in the first couple turns, but as the game goes along, I think it's round 8 in the solo, 10 in the multiplayer or something like that. As the game goes on, you get to round 5 and 6, you're going to be filling in those coin tracks, and you're going to trigger 1, 2, 3, 4 stars. And you're going to fill in other boats, and those boats are going to trigger other things. Those other things are going to trigger back into your main corridor, and it is combo-licious.
You start getting going, man. Woo! Jesus, man.
it's over. So that's it's the essence of the game. It's probably the heaviest roll and write that I've ever played.
It is.
In terms of,
I would say, yeah.
In terms like I say heavy, quote unquote. It's not heavy. We're not talking Founder Gloomhaven or whatever. But it's a lot to track.
Yes, I miss stuff all the time. Yeah, I've played it a million times, and I still forget to give myself things and forget bonuses. It's very, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I would.
And I think that's, if you're going to criticize the game, you're going to criticize the game for that. So because there's a lot to track, it's hard to play with new players. Unless they're just like, hardcore gamers, or they're okay with the occasional, like, 2 turns ago, I should have gotten this star. Right. And right. I don't know how you guys feel about, resolving that at the table. Like, I try to be like, because then you double counting stars and all stuff. It really is easy to lose track of how many bonus actions you get, because eventually you can just get a bunch of bonus actions. But especially as a solo, because you can just, you don't like the solo, Jeremy?
Oh, I love the solo. That's why.
Okay, that was an ugh of joy. Okay,
like it is such a like that's the solo roll and write you want. Like that's the one. This is the one, and I feel like this passes what I call the pleasing test. Like, how much fun am I having throughout the game? Like, yeah, I'm thinking about stuff, but I'm getting rewarded constantly as I play this game. Like, the overpower fun feeling. Like, I'm overpowered. I'm triggering so much. I feel like I'm doing a lot. Ooh, I get this. Ooh, I get that. Even when you're playing against the soul, like, you feel like, all right, I'll sacrifice this, but I'll do this instead. And whoa, hey, now I've unlocked something else. And that's just it pays off. It pays off and it rewards you constantly for playing it. And it's got like a good playtime too, so it's like 30-45 minutes, so it's like, what if you want just a little bit more, and I mean, and it's so portable. Man, it's up there. It's up there with a 30-minute game like Coffee Roaster for me. Like, it's just like
it's 30, one of those games 40, where
it's like perfect.
It engages me the entire time too, and like, how sometimes the game, it's like, all right, I'm kind of ready for this to be over, but like, it's not quite over yet. I was like, oh man, we're in the last round. No, like every time I play it goes by really quick, but in a good way, because I'm interested. Yeah,
if you get an 11th turn, like if you get an extra turn over here, you're getting a lot of fish and you'd be able to just basically fill in stuff, because it's cascading rewards, as you were saying, Jeremy. Like the payoff. It just showers you with extra actions, extra combos, and there's different strategies. It's not kind of a mindless thing where you're just kind of hitting one strat. Like, you can go heavy fish, like, get a lot of boats, and when you hit the fishing phase, just fish up a lot of fish, roll the market dice, sell all those fish and get all those coins. Or you can maximize certain boats that give you extra stars, so that you're kind of like rushing up the track a little bit more, as opposed to selling your fish. You're kind of, you're income based, you're getting these star things. Or you can go straight for the scoring buildings and the wharf.
Yeah.
And, do your points off of that way. There's actually a lot of different paths to victory, and you kind of follow the dice. You go where the dice kind of take you.
Yeah.
And in the multiplayer, obviously you're drafting, so people are looking at you going, oh, you need that, and I'm going to take that from you, so you don't need it. And in solo,
that's a thing, though.
Captain
that's a thing.
Ruth.
Yeah. So that could be a bad thing, because so this is my only negative about this game, only one.
Okay.
And I always think of like, not me. Okay, so this is not me. This is a negative for a potential buyer, right? So drafting games are difficult because, people in the know versus people not in the know. And then with this game, since it has so many things to keep track of, like, oh my gosh, like, okay, what am I doing with this star? Like, what does that mean to go from here to there? So you're probably going to take another L, like, right away. You're going to take an L in this game. But like I said, the positive part is that once you do start to get in, let's say about round 3 or 4, and you're like, all right, you get to the second round of fishing, you're like, oh, I missed the opportunity. But along the way, now that you've figured it out, you are, even in losing, you are triggering off this engine. And I think eventually through that first game, you'll be like, by the time you're done, you're like, that was fun. And I lost.
Yeah.
Bad.
And you'll be like, oh, let's do it again because I know what to do next time.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like this is one of those games you could probably have such a rewarding experience, you might want to play.
So compare the two. I've not played Cartographers. Which one do you prefer?
Oh boy. Oh boy. I don't know, man.
I would say that they're both really pushing for my top 5 rolling rights.
Yeah, I mean, like Metro X is way up there.
Yeah, Metro X is in there. Welcome to.
Yeah, welcome to.
I'm a Castles of Burgundy dice girl, and then those others, and then Cartographers and Fleet Dice. I mean, they're just really good. They're among the tops for me for rolling rights.
Yeah,
wow.
We're like,
I don't care. You know, it's a rolling right even if it's cards. So we're just gonna go with it. But I think if I want the constant reward cycle, it's going to be Fleet Dice. If I want a puzzle, it's going to be Cartographers, and it's a mood-based choice.
Cool.
Yeah. I think I like Fleet Dice just slightly more.
It's
because of like the solo puzzle. Like it is a good solo puzzle, and not a puzzle actually. I'm just saying like it's just a good, just a good meaty solo experience, and it's just as good as the multiplayer. And I didn't even think about the multiplayer, so it was like I just wanted to play the solo, and it was very rewarding. So yeah. And I mean, like I said, the Cartographers is no slouch, but I mean, man, yeah, they're two very close games, I would say.
All right, that's really good news because I love Fleet Dice game. I love this game. I actually do love the card game more. I don't know what you guys are doing, but especially Jeremy. But I love cards, so that's just a personal thing. But I can totally see people loving on this game. It's getting a digital implementation, I think I saw on Twitter, so looking forward to that one as well. So that was Fleet the Dice game. Now I'm going to throw it over to Liz. Liz, you were recently a guest on the We're Not Wizards podcast, and which, by the way, I mean, could you stop with the being a guest everywhere? You're kind of all over the place over there. Just slow your roll just a little bit. Anyway, no, really happy for you. You mentioned a solo game that you were enjoying that is completely not on my radar. I don't know, Jeremy, if you're like a GMT guy or that stuff enters your realm.
It's not GMT.
Not GMT. Oh. Okay, so you're going to tell us about this game that you were playing that you've been really enjoying that I certainly have not heard of. It is Wars of Marcus Aurelius.
Yes. All right. So as most people who've ever heard me talk know, I'm a Latin teacher and I'm a giant nerd. So Wars of Marcus Aurelius is already really up my alley. It is published by Hollenspiele, which is I think an American publishing company, but it's got a very European name. But they publish these really cool little solitaire experiences. One of which is Agricola Master of Britain, which is fun. But my favorite so far is definitely Wars of Marcus Aurelius. It is designed by Robert Dulesky, and as I said, published by Hollenspiele, and it's this like light war game that. So yeah, I've also started pretty seriously dabbling in war games.
We'll get you on an episode for that real soon.
Woo. But it's similar to the Marcomannic Wars, which are these wars against Germanic tribes that Marcus Aurelius fought towards the end of his life. And it's this like crazy balancing act where you are trying to subjugate 3 different tribes who have their own turn with their own AI, card deck, and they will make your life hell. And then you have to draw these cards and make decisions about whether you're going to play them for events or whether you're going to play them to take certain actions, if you're going to set yourself up to try to attack, if you're going to try to maintain your reputation back home in Rome, if you're going to try to, there's a whole bunch of different options with the card play, and I really like that. To-use cards are a thing that if you have them and you do it well, I'm going to want to play your game. So you have to balance, your armies, their health, the issues with keeping 3 different tribes under control. Even if they are subdued, they can rebel again if you don't keep enough presence in the area. You can build forts, and all the event cards, like, there's not enough text on them, I think. If you know what you're looking at, they're hilarious. If you don't, it'll be like a card that says, "Oh, Faustina," and it's like a scandal that messes up Marcus Aurelius's morale. But, if you know the history, it's because at one point there's a rumor that Marcus Aurelius had died. And so his wife, that faithful woman, decided to start looking for a new partner to rule Rome with her, and started sleeping with one of his friends and generals in another part of the Roman Empire. And then it turned into a rebellion. And then But like,
I totally feel like that war games are underrated thematic games. That you get that nugget stuff in all these games.
Oh yeah, and like if you ever play the game, it won't explain who everyone is, but it's worth looking up because like Marcus Aurelius went through this phase where he like really liked this prophet named Alexander who was a quack and had like, according to some texts, had this fake talking snake. Like all the subtext of the game is part of what makes it really enjoyable for me. It's not like quite at the front, but I like the way the actual historical events are woven in to impact the game in ways that are really funny and enjoyable, even if they hurt you.
I know you said it was like a light war game, but like, what am I looking for? Because I don't play war games at all. Like, is there anything that's analogous that it's something that I would know that I would enjoy?
Ooh. Let me try to like map on. Honestly, you could have something like Wars of Marcus Aurelius I like a lot because honestly, you already know how to do multi-use cards where you try to play a card for an event or for an action of a different kind. And you already know about things like, think like tower defense, right? You have 3 different tribes that are coming and trying to mess with you and get into your turf and you have to hold them back. It's a war game in the sense that it has a historical theme, but mechanically it is nothing that a hardcore gamer hasn't seen.
So tower defense. Oh man, I'm in. I'm in.
Any normal gamer could just like pick it up and it would be familiar. I think.
Right. So this is a lane that I'm going to start delving into. This year I just kind of decided to do more. Once I played Down in the Purple, which is not like like war, but the theme was like, wow, I'm going to try this one step out. I'm going to also try skirmish games. So I've been trying more skirmish games this year, which is a beast to tackle. But the war stuff, I'm just because I'm not a history buff, it's kind of like a barrier of entry for me. Like that's just a big barrier of entry. But the games are so good. You hear so many good things about them, and I don't mind the time sink. That's the thing. Like the only thing I think that really is stopping me is the history part. And even if I just move past that, I would just play it, because it's gameplay over everything. That's my saying. It's gameplay over everything.
Join the dark side, Jeremy. I'm also really excited. I'm pretty sure that I have plans to play Pendragon on Memorial Day with some of my game group friends, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, so if I build a teleporter, I'll come down there.
You should.
Yeah, I just got to get this teleporter finished,
Everybody in Wisconsin is building that same teleporter, man. You're stuck. All right, so that was Wars of Marcus Aurelius. Thank you, Liz, for sharing. So everybody got to share their own, and they're sharing about stuff that they're kind of branching out and everything. I am not branching out at all. If anybody knows anything about me, I am a cooperative games player. If it has co-op listed, I don't care if it's a mode. I don't care if it's a fan variant. I am trying it. And that, my desire to play cooperative games, which by the way, please go check out my geek list. Jason's big list of played cooperative games on BGG. I have over 200 games played over there, all ranked and rated and all that good stuff. My love of cooperative games led me to this game that I don't think I would ever have heard of otherwise. I posted about it on Facebook and I got Jeremy to look at it and go, what is that?
Yeah, what is this?
What's happening here?
I heard of it. I heard of this game that you talk about because Rado mentioned it faintly, and I was like, I'll track it down at some point. But then I saw it again. I was like, I don't know, man. So here we go.
So this game is called Sarah's Vision. It was designed by Anthony Haugago, I think I pronounced his name, published by the Ballot. Oh my God, pronunciation. I shouldn't even try.
Oh my jeez.
Oh my Jesus. This was actually a first-time publisher, but you can look up Sarah's Vision and you'll get the publisher information from there. So this is a weird one. And so I read the game description and I expected a certain type of game. So I'm just going to kind of hit you guys with a quick game description and I'm going to let you know where the game actually went from there. Sarah's Vision is a story-driven cooperative game of strategy and resource management set in a world beyond imagination where resources are plentiful and people are happy. However, powerful forces seek to undermine society and return us to the dark days of the early 21st century. Can you help 3 high-potential individuals stay alive long enough to complete their work and ensure continued prosperity for humanity? I'm like, I'm in. I'm doing it. Cool world, cool story and everything. Story-driven cooperative game. I am totally in. So I saw a story-driven cooperative game. There are 2 lies and a truth in that description. You know how you can play 2 truths and a lie? This game, it's a game that is the truth. It is not story-driven. It is not very cooperative. So I'll break down both of those elements. So the story-driven part, yes, there's a story involved, and it does kind of highlight what's going on here. But really, what you're playing is a cooperative puzzle with Jenga pieces on the side. I kid you not, guys. There's a Jenga tower, an honest-to-goodness Jenga tower here, and it actually plays into the mechanics of the game. And it's very, very puzzly. So that's the first part. So the game takes place on a 3x3 grid depicting a city, futuristic kind of thing. You don't control pieces. You don't have personal resources like a hand of cards or anything. You do have a hand of cards, but everybody kind of plays whatever the phase is. So it's not like it's personal. Everybody's kind of collaborating. So what you have these 3 people in the middle, the scientist, the engineer, and the senator, and you have to keep them safe. So after a player goes and you get 1 action on a turn, an event card's gonna trigger, and it's gonna add danger cubes to certain spots on the board, and you see it. You can see it. There's 5 cards in the event rows. You can see, this card is gonna hit. You're gonna go. This card's gonna hit. You're gonna go. This card's gonna hit. So you can plan ahead the different zones that are gonna get danger cubes. So you're trying to kind of manipulate events. You're trying to move the guys around in order to avoid these danger cubes. Very, very puzzly. So that's kind of the core of the gameplay. And to tell you how not story-driven it is, quote unquote, you play the first mission, which is this box of cards, and then it has story beats. And then if you play the first mission again, they say, just shuffle the story cards out and reshuffle the event cards. Like, all right, okay, story, yeah, sure, bye-bye story. So that's the first part. It's a puzzle. I mean, I can't really kind of emphasize that enough. So here's where the interesting part happens. So in order to do any action that manipulates the event cards, let's say you want to flip the order of event cards or get rid of an event card entirely, you pay for that in Jenga pieces. So you go to the Jenga mainframe, and let's say you wanted to do an action that costs you that has a green resource. So you take the resource out, and you do the Jenga thing. Look at the tower, take the piece out, put it on top. If it doesn't fall, fine, you get to do the action, and you're going to keep doing that. Eventually, you're going to come to a point where it's really tense. Like, okay, I really need this resource. It's in a really hard to get spot. Okay. I can't even, and then there's other events that like you have to take out 4 pieces. That's crazy. So that's kind of the whole game. You're using these resources as the Jenga pieces, and then if the tower falls, then you have like, you don't lose, but like all 5 events trigger, which that might make you lose. It might not. So you might set it up where, okay, this tower might fall. So I'm going to set up the events so that it isn't so bad, because you can kind of see the events coming, especially if you pay for the action that lets you reveal all the events. I'm just going to set the events up that way, and maybe this tower is going to fall. Oh my God, the tower fell, and the events will trigger. Or if you're good at Jenga, which I'm actually like surprisingly pretty good at Jenga for like a big clumsy guy, you can have a good time. And that's actually, maybe something that might bother you about the game, that if you're good at this dexterity game, you're good at a resource management, like a little weird. So, okay, that's the whole game. Did I enjoy it? I did. I actually did. I was really surprised, like, to have my expectation frustrated like that. You guys know I love story. We just did a whole episode last week. Jeremy was talking about, love and story, and I was talking about love and story, and I was disappointed that it wasn't story driven, but it had story elements, so I was happy with that. But the puzzle, I like the puzzle. It's not cooperative. There's not, it's a solo game. It really is a solo game that other people play. You can collaborate, but you can't really cooperate. Cooperation to me is like mechanism cooperation. Like, I move my piece, you move your piece. Let's meet up, trade resources, and do whatever. You can collaborate, like, okay, talk about where the different weak spots of the Jenga tower is and whatever, but that's not the same thing as cooperating. So it's a solo game. I'm a solo player, so I don't mind. And I like puzzles. I play Sudoku. I play, the different puzzle. And this has a lot of, the graphic design and the art in it and the production. That's what I'm trying to say. The production value is really, really pretty. I am really surprised I like this game this much. But I am in the target the target bullseye of where this game is trying to hit. This game could be a massive misfire in a lot of different groups. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. So from what I described, what do you guys think?
No. I think this is my first question. This is a great, this is the perfect question for this one. Will you want to play this game? Will you want to keep this game and play it a year from now? Because that, to me, honestly, what you're saying sounds like a good experience. You'll play it again. You'll show it to your friends, maybe, right? You'll get them to play with the group because you've been playing it solo only, right? Okay, so then you'll be like, all right, this game's tight solo. I'm pretty confident. I got the rules down. I had my fun with it. You bring it to your group. Let's just even say it's mixed. But the good is good, and you just disagree with some people in your group that don't like it. Will you keep this game for a year? Will you remember it at the end of the year? And that's this game sounds so fringe to me with that. Although a decent game, I don't know. I don't know. It just isn't convincing me. Although it sounds like I said, it sounds interesting. It sounds fun to play. But this one right here, I don't know what you're saying.
And it sounds like different. I mean, that you've never played, and I appreciate different. So
no, I like different too. It's just will this stick around for a year, or will I be looking back yeah, that was okay, but I don't know.
It's a gimmick, basically. Right. It's a giant gimmick. There's a 3-session campaign, so you have 3 boxes, and I played through the campaign. So you get 1, 2, and 3, and then after you're done with the campaign, you get the story elements. And then you play again. It's just you shuffle the story cards out, and you just kind of play the random events.
Yeah. Okay, that's right?
It sounds like something I would try.
Right. Yeah,
but not something I would buy / treasure always.
Yeah, doesn't seem like that. You didn't sell that at the beginning. You didn't say campaign. That's actually kind of that's a little bit of a selling point, and that's no. Okay. So let's just say this. Let's say this. This is my follow-up, right? So you'll play the game, right? You played the campaign, this 3-time played campaign. Plus, you played it beyond the campaign, right? Do you want to see what it was like after that? Then let's say you play with your friends, and then let's say you play it one more time after that. You've gotten your worth out of that game. You've gotten experience out of that game. It doesn't have to stay in your collection. It's not an all-timer. That's why I'm asking you, will you cape for this game a year from now, or would it possibly on the chop block? Or are you just going to toss it? That's kind of how I see it. So
I rated it 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 is it's possible. I think you'll get your money's worth from this. I don't know if this will stay in my collection, but if it's on the table, I'm happy to play. So the way this game was designed, it was designed as a team building exercise within a company, and they happen to transfer it out and move it towards the game. If I find a group that wants to play that repeated puzzle, then I'd be happy to kind of do that. And especially with my young kid, I have a very young kid, and we just played our first game of Jenga, played quote unquote. I mean, she's just stacking blocks. But if I have my young kid around and they like Jenga, and they want that a little bit more of an experience that it integrates kind of a puzzle element and looking ahead and strategizing, then I can definitely see it in that sphere as well. So is this, a game that I'm going to be playing a year from now? I don't know. I would need people that vibe with it. But I definitely enjoyed it. And I think in terms of, will you get your money's worth out of it? If you know what you're getting, then I can definitely say that, yes, I got my money out of it. So I'm happy with it. So that was, thank you very much, Jeremy, for clarifying I like that question, will I play this in a year question. I don't think we asked that of games enough.
Yep. Yeah. I just feel like, the numbers aren't always enough. It's more so is this experience going to stick with me, or is this game going to actually stick with me? you know, and like even when I'm not playing it, like I have Wendaki. I haven't played Wendaki in about 8 months. I'm looking at it right now. There's absolutely no way I'm getting rid of that game. I'm just not. Like it's that good of a game. Like I'm just not. Like there's other games that I have had for over a year that like I'm really just gonna probably just get rid of them. Like, but I just won't. It's too good. But you know, like that's the thing. Like, is a game like this when I'm listening to it, I'm like, yeah, but it feels like yeah, but you know, and once that you know the campaign sounds like a selling point, but I feel like after I get done with that, I may have had my experience, and even if my group likes it, I have to take it home, and it has to be in my house and in my collection. And I'm thinking, I don't know, a year from now, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if it's on the table and you want to play it, then it might be worth a play. There are some games that it's actually worth knowing that. Like there's some games, I was like, ooh, that's interesting. Oh, that was terrible.
That's why I tell people, man, be open to these games, man. You know, try these experiences. You know, even if it is a gimmicky game, like try it. Like don't dispel these games because you could actually backdoor yourself into a fine experience. You know, like it's always going to be gameplay over everything. You're looking at all these, you know, beautiful boxes and you know, and themes that match. But at the end of the day, like, are you having fun playing it? So, you know, somebody has it in your group, a game in your group, you know, give it a shot. Just give it a shot. You know, a game like that doesn't get a lot of publicity. It needs players. It needs people to see it and play it. You know.
Well, I sort of feel like that's one of the great joys of the hobby right now. Like with all the different games coming out and all the possibilities for quirky projects to make it at this moment, like, you know, being open to all the interesting games that kind of exist and aren't necessarily going to be evergreen, but are cool experiences. I mean, I don't know if it's always worth buying and keeping, but it's definitely worth playing or having, you know, especially if you have a game group, you know, and you're all chipping in and bringing games.
And I'll put it this way. I'd rather play this than a game like Dead Men Tell No Tales or The Captain is Dead or these games that like replicate what others do. They're like maybe very solid. They may be like better and more well received and out in the vicinity. But for me, I want something different. And so I'm going to gravitate towards kind of the wonkier. And I definitely want to support that. You know, so
I like outside the box too, because I feel like, you know, those are the games that actually fun. You know, they barely fun on Kickstarter, or, you know, it's not always the ones that everybody runs to. And you're banking on one with all these like, you know, like jewels and, you know, like, I don't know, like I think of these smaller games and I think like they are really trying to do something different and it's whether they execute or not. And, you know, a lot of those games, sometimes they end up being a game that you play for the experience and you play it a couple times and you get the experience. But you got to let people play that, you know, the more people who play it, you know, we get more of the word out and then eventually maybe they expand it and come back to it. And, you know, a lot of these games need players. It's a tough market.
All right. So that was Sarah's vision. That is some quirky, fun games that we all enjoy on one level or another. So I wanted to close this out. Jeremy, you've actually hit this point really hard. And Liz has been producing a video series on her YouTube channel, Beyond Solitaire. If you want to go check that out. Liz is moving and she is culling her collection. And apparently you are traumatizing some of your audience. Yes. They're looking at what you're getting rid of. They're going, oh my God, I can't believe you're getting rid of that. Maybe you can, and it, you know, we don't have to get into too much because, you know, you just go and look at the video series, but maybe take us into your process of, you know, how you're approaching culling your big collection and all that stuff.
Yeah. So what's really funny is I haven't even gotten started yet and people are like shook. But, you know, I'm starting practical. Like the fact is there are so many good games out there. I would say there are fewer great games, but there are a lot of good games that are worth your time and worth owning. But if you have limited space and you want, the other thing is I want a tighter collection where I really feel like every single game is earning its keep with me. Especially because, you know, I have a constant cycle of games coming in and I need to start cycling them out. I've been thinking about it in terms of categories, right? So my first video where I actually showed a cull was I cut all my two-player games. Because guess what? I don't play two-player games. There's so many good ones, but what does it matter if I don't play them? So I am trading all those out. And I got good stuff in there, like Seven Wonders Duel, and like Patchwork, and Lost Cities. And there are people who have these strong emotional attachments to this game. They're like, no, not that one. Or it'll be like, oh, you know, Patchwork has an automa. You should keep it and play that. I'm like, no. Yeah. I've decided it has to go. It's going. And because, you know, if you sit there and hem and haw over it, you're going to keep everything. So my next thing is going to be going through my classroom games and being honest with myself about what my kids actually seem to like. And then I think I'm going to have to actually look at some of my own reviews. And if I can give it a 4 or higher, I ain't loving it that much.
Wow. Yeah.
It can go. Like,
see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Like, that's the experience. Have I had my experience with this game? And if you have, okay, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
Right. Well, where I'm going to run into trouble is I have a lot of games that I haven't reviewed, and I need to decide, do I want to review this versus do I need to clear space?
Right.
And that's not a problem I ever thought I'd have. You know, as somebody who's a reviewer, it's like, oh, well, every game has its own potential in your life as review fodder, good, bad, great, boring, I don't know, because you could just review it and it's material for your site. But with a time crunch, it's like, oh, heck, do I keep everything because I'll review it someday, or do I just acknowledge that maybe I don't have to review every game that was ever published on the planet and I can dish some stuff? So I'm going to have to think it out.
Yep. I totally agree, man.
So are you looking at your collection? Like, what's your general approach to your collection, Jeremy? I know you get like a billion games, and I imagine there's some sort of culling system. Like, how do you approach like tougher calls? You know, obviously garbage games you're going to get rid of, but like, you know, if there's tough calls, how do you approach that?
Well, like I said, I kind of do the thing of like a year. So I'll look at 2018 because like it does get that crazy because last year I got to the end where I was getting these Essen titles and then like just retail stuff. And I was just, because I do the live show. So there's, you know, just boxes and boxes of stuff I'm playing and whatever. And it's over. Like it's over. You know, the sheen wore off. And I played it. I learned the rules. I played with my group, and it's over. Like I realized that. Am I going to be wanting to play this a year from now? Is this sentimental? Is this for the box? Is this a show I have in my videos? You know, like stuff like that. I have to lose the attachment, and it needs to be like a reassessment of what that game is. It's like, do I want to bring this back to game night? Because, you know, everybody likes the new hotness. They love that I have the new hotness all the time, or the stuff that's really coming like later on. But you know, that fades. And when I look back at that box, I'm like, I have not even thought about this game in a year. Like, just not even.
So I actually had a wild experience today. I sold my Magic the Gathering cards today.
Whoa.
And it was really emotional in the sense that looking at them again made me relive how much fun I had with them when I played a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't play them now. You know, they've been sitting in my closet for like years, literally years. Yeah. And so even though like that temptation comes back of like, oh, well, maybe it's like, nope, no, if you didn't want to do it before now, you didn't want to do it.
I have a game right now I'm looking at. It was one of my favorite games last year. It's called Raids, and it's made by Matthew Dunstan. It's published by Yellow. Fantastic game. It's sort of like Takedo, but it's better than Takedo, but it has some Takedo-ish to it. And I just prefer it. And it's like, you know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And I just don't want to play. Like, I'm thinking, like, do I really want to caper this game that hard a year later? Like, do I really? I bought Pioneer Days, like, the same day. I love that game. It will forever be part of my collection. It's one of my favorite games. And Raids was one of my favorite games of last year, but time has moved on. It's got to go. You know, and that's a good game. Yep. It is a good game. Right. I might end up just giving it to somebody because it's such a good game. You know, it's just such a good game. And that's the thing. It's like even the good ones have to go sometimes. They have space, you know.
It's funny. Space. When you mentioned Magic, I had a similar experience, but a much dorkier experience. So I didn't play a lot of Magic, but what I did play, I played a lot of Munchkin. Oh. And I had I had Munchkin Impossible, The Good, the Bad, and the Munchkin Cthulhu, Munchkin Star Munchkin. Like for whatever reason, like it was one of my first kind of designer games because I bought it at like 2002 when it first came out, and I played it with my girlfriend, and because my girlfriend showed it to me at the time, and I had such sentimental like hold. I never played it outside of that situation because people just like move past that game really fast. But I played a ton with my girlfriend. I'm like, can I part with this? Do I really want to just move this on? Like we had some really great times. Like we would, well, I probably shouldn't say. I think like, okay, so this is kind of my approach. Like I'm not going to play a lot of the games that I have in my collection ever again, but they're not going away because I could play them again. I don't know if that makes sense. So I knew with Munchkin, I'm not going to play it again. Like I had to say to myself, this is only for sentimental. This is only for history. I can't keep stuff like that around because then I'd keep everything. But there's certain games. So I'm looking at like Abyss, or I'm looking at, some of the other games in my collection. Games I haven't played in a couple years and I may never play again, but I may play them again. And if that opportunity comes up, then I want to be able to jump on that opportunity. So I'm going to keep a couple of more games around that I may never play again, but it's just enough to know that it's at hand in case the magical opportunity comes up. And that maybe lead me to like a larger collection than I need, but I would die in the rare situation where the opportunity to play a game came up and I wasn't prepared.
Yeah. And I think like there's that thing too. It's like, somebody will, let's say like, you get rid of a game now. And then like, let's say in October, all of a sudden someone's like, hey, I want to play that game. Or yeah, you said you had that game and then you got rid of it. And it's like,
yeah, but like how many games can you keep based on that?
No, but I'm just saying like, that's the thing. It's like you do get rid of good games. And then like, and then it's like, oh, I want it again. And then sometimes you do buy it again, or sometimes you don't. I don't, but it's been that way. The only one I've ever done that to, and I felt like I almost had to sing a song about it, was Viticulture. I don't know why I sold Viticulture. I have no idea what was wrong with me. But let's not even go down that. I don't even know what I was thinking. Baby, come back. What? You can blame it all on me.
Oh, it's getting late. Oh my goodness.
That's the thing. It's like you don't want to have that moment, but at the same time, like that ain't got nothing to do with the space that's in your your basement. I got a third calyx, and I'm thinking to myself, like, why do I need a third calyx? And I haven't built it yet, but then I look back here and I have games all over my floor and back here. And I'm just like, even when I get done putting this calyx together, everything's got to go. It's just stuff just has to go. And games like the decent games, the good games. I mean, even a game like Cylon that I love from last year, it's just got to go. Like, I'm not going to it's just got to go. Good game. Rising 5, good game. I was going to keep it. Now we're going to let it go. Really good solo game, though. Really good solo cooperative game. Yeah, they're just good games, and it's hard to just keep them, man.
You got to be a savage.
So I guess it's that, and that's a question that you need to ask yourself. What is your philosophy of your collection? So Liz has made the conclusion that unless it's to hit the table, and it's something that there's a driving force hit the table, it's gone. And I'm wondering if you're going to keep to that. So please go ahead and check out her video series to see if she really does keep those hard cuts and everything.
Think about philosophy too. Like, I got an interesting comment on my blog the other day. It was for a game that I wasn't the biggest fan of, but somebody was like, I'd like to know what games she really likes because her reviews are so negative. They're not negative. They're average. So on a 5 scale, most of my reviews are a 3 or a 3.5. And then a lot of them, I have some 4s and 5s on there, but I'm picky about the games that I say are, because at that point I'm really recommending that you plop some cash down on it. And, I feel like I should hold myself to my own standards, right? I really believe that there's a lot of enjoyable games out there, but most of them aren't great. They can be very good. They can be enjoyable. But, like, how much time do you have in your free time to play things that are okay when you can play something awesome?
Right. And I constantly think of, like, especially when you're in the review mode, it's like, am I keeping this because I think it's a decent suggestion? Or, when I review games, I kind of think of the perspective of, like, all right, well, here's my opinion, but I don't know, for somebody else, if they were buying this for $40, I did receive this as a review copy. Like, did I tell somebody to spend $60 on this?
Right. And it's a legit question.
Like, it's just like, that's the thing. It's like, why would I don't know, man. Like, that's how I get to the 3s, or that's how I got my rate on the fence. Because on the fence, it's not bad. It's just that it's an average game. Do you want to fork over the $40 or the $80 for the special edition? Because some people just go for the deluxe no matter what. And I'm like, hey, hold on, man, before you spend $80 on it,
Right, so take a breath. And I've kind of passed it now, but everybody who gets enthusiastic about gaming has a crazy buy phase where they just buy everything. And the FOMO really gets them, and they're still refining their taste. And I've been through this, and I think I'm on like the tail end now, right? But I think that that's a normal response to being excited by our hobby. And it's something that either funding or just time will kind of help you slow down on. But, once you pass that point, it's like, I've seen a Kickstarter like this before. Or like, I backed a game like this and it wasn't that great. And then, it slows you down.
Mm-hmm. Like when I first started, I bought basically every game that was a 7 and then a few games that was 6 that like fit a niche. So like Escape from the Aliens in Outer Space is like this, crazy multiplayer, big player count type game. I had to have it. It's not that good. but it filled a role and everything. And I bought a bunch of those games. And then as I kind of kept on going, I'm like, okay, gotta cut the 6s, gotta keep the 7s. And it's like, all right, gotta cut the 7s, I'm only keeping the 7.5s. And now I am legit I'm selling, I have most of my 8s. I'm selling a couple of 8s, the one that I can get like decent money for because I have to pay for childcare for crying out loud. Which is, oh my God. It's like America doesn't want you to have babies. Okay, I'm not going to, that was.
Or does it?
You just bought a new house. No, I had a kid.
I bought a house, had a kid. But like, so like 8 is the line. And at that line, I just feel like that line is kind of going up and up and up. Like, I don't know if it'll go up past 8 too much. But if I get a game that's similar, then it's like, I'm kind of 1 in, 1 out at this point. And, everybody kind of has to decide what that magic number is of being 1 in, 1 out. So, and how do you get to that point? How do you get to the point of being 1 in, 1 out? So, check out people who are calling their collections. Think hard about the philosophy of what you want in your collection to be. Do you want that, like, I hit a bunch of categories and I'm good and I'm just going to, cycle in the better version of that? Do you want games that you may not play for 4 or 5 years, but you're just happy to have them in your life that you can potentially play them? We ask some of these questions, and I think that's kind of a good way to approach culling the collections. Do you guys have any final words, little advice for the peoples in terms of managing all these games?
Here's another one. Here's another question you can ask yourself. Certain games, they could be expanded, like they may open it up for that. Would you back the expansion right away? Like you looked at Gloom of Killforth, like, would you back the expansion right away? Like, were you that impressed with it? Well, if you weren't, maybe you got your fill out of the game. Maybe there's enough content in it already, or maybe you are just kind of over it. Like you had it, and that's what goes back to our big box thing. It's like, how many of these can you keep? Are you done? Like, are you done? Like, that's the thing. You're not going to finish all 99 Gloomhaven, like all those quests in Gloomhaven. Maybe you'll tell yourself you will, but I assure you, if I tracked your Facebook a year and a half from now, you won't be like, almost, I'm at 96. Like, like, I'm just not. So it's like, what I did was that I got about 60 so hours because I was tracking the hours time. It was like 64 something hours. And I got a good, I don't know, about 30 or 40 so in there. And I felt it. I didn't even open all the boxes. I didn't even open all the minis and stuff like that. I had my experience, and it was a great one. And it's still one of my favorite games of all time. I let it go. Like, I just had to let it go.
Well,
it's such a big box. It's such a big box. It's got a ton of content. I can recommend it to anybody. And I know what the pluses and minuses are. So confident in that game and what it misses and what it hits. I won't buy it again. And that's it. It's done.
Well, this kind of ties into the advice that I would give. Like, I'm an idiot, so maybe don't take my advice. But, like, if you want words of wisdom.
We're all quiet. We're like, yes, you're an idiot.
Right. Yeah, it's true. But, so, I think the thing that's always important to keep in mind is that your games exist to make you happy and not the other way around. You are not obligated to your collection. You are never obligated to play a game, even if you bought it. All of those things are things that you tell yourself, but they're not true. If you are not enjoying it, just pack it away.
Yep.
Like, if it is not bringing you active pleasure, just don't. Like, games are meant to be fun. And, I've been going through a really weird phase of, like, lack of productivity on my own side stuff because I've been changing jobs. I've been changing apartments. I lost my cat. And I have not really felt like playing very much. And it actually really changed me. I was gearing up to start a Patreon and everything, and I was like, you know what? I don't need this obligation. I want my games to stay fun. And I want to cover what I want to cover, and I want to play what I want to play.
Yeah.
And I think that was a good recentering for me.
Nice. That's really nice. Well, if you don't know about Liz's cat passing, happened suddenly a little while ago, and go ahead and please, give love and condolences. I know we're laughing about it, but it was a thing. We had to give Liz some love over there. To give her a little bit of support. So if you want to hop over to beyondsolitaire.net, or if you want to go to the YouTube page, drop a comment on one of her pieces of content, or just to say hi and say, we love you. Keep playing those games. Don't get down about your cat. Keep it moving. Hey, Future Jason here in the editing room. So we recorded this episode a while ago, maybe about a month or so ago. And since then, Liz has gotten a new cat. His name is Kato, or her, or something. The cat is suitably adorable. There are pictures of this cat on Liz's Twitter, at least, at Beyond Solitaire, and the various different social medias. So, me personally, I'm sorry, Liz, I could not care less about your cat. I'm not a cat person, not a pet person at all. I'm allergic, actually, to half the animals in the entire world, especially those with fur. So I apologize for my lack of regard overall. But I am just one curmudgeon over here. I'm sure there are tons of pet owners out there who want to see cute pictures of animals. So don't let me stop you. Go ahead and enjoy those pets. Back to the show. Yeah. And if you want to go to Jeremy at Jambalaya Plays Games, you can just tell him anything you want. Tell him congratulations for joining Man vs. Meeple, which we are very proud of him for achieving that. I don't know what that's going to look like. Could be a little bit scary.
The one thing is that I'm always going to be Jambalaya Plays Games, and I have a YouTube page, and I really, really, really encourage you to join it, because I'm going to start doing some different kind of content on there. But I will have the reviews and, Kickstarter previews that I have on there. But I'll start adding the stuff that kind of everybody has and stuff like that. But the next one I'm going to make is called The First Quarter's Over. So we'll look at some of the games that I like from the first quarter of the year, because I had to finish up a couple from April, and I want to make sure I get my thoughts on those. But, just kind of like thinking of things like that. And then Man vs. Meeple is going to be a Kickstarter show. So you'll see a lot more, some different topics on Kickstarter and some things with publishers and you. So people will be able to submit videos from their perspective too. So it'll be kind of interesting. It's all in the works.
Right. Liz, Jeremy, always fun. We are going to be doing this once a quarter. So we'll be back probably a little bit after the con season. So you get some fresh names coming in and we can talk about it. So.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's going to be insane. I'm going to be so full of games in my mind, so can't wait.
Man, I'm just going to be sitting at home feeling left out.
Teleport machine. If I get this teleport machine up and running, I got to get past the bunnies and monkey stages and all that stuff like that. But
the Meeple stage first.
Yeah, I don't want to turn into the fly. I don't want to turn into the fly.
All right, thanks, you too.
Yeah. Take care.
Thanks. Happy gaming, y'all.
All right. Thank you so much to Liz and Jeremy for stopping by. I believe this was the 7th or 8th episode that they've been on. Multiply that by at least 4 games, sometimes 5, where you got over 30 games covered, which is pretty insane when you kind of put it together and think about it. That's a lot of games. Not all of them have been great, but some of them have been completely outstanding, and we have a ton of fun just getting together, even like the before the call and the after the call. I don't do spoilers, like bloopers. I don't do like kind of the outside conversation, because it gets pretty enthusiastic, so to speak. But I hope that enthusiasm comes through on the parts of the audio that make the recording and in our game reviews. So we're definitely going to keep it rolling. These are 2 of my best friends in the board gaming industry at this point. I met them along the way. I met them doing ENGN. So it just makes me want to dedicate more and more enthusiasm, more and more ideas to this podcast, keep changing things up. So one thing, actually, I'll ask of you guys three things. One thing I wanted to ask you is, since at this point it's pretty clear the Liz and Jeremy stopping by is a thing, I'd love to get it a name. So what's a good name for our little crew over here? So we cover Kickstarters, but really what we're covering is the little guy or the little gal, the smaller publisher who is just putting out stuff and looking for press. These are the games that we definitely prioritize here in this Liz and Jeremy segment. So if you have a name that encapsulates us as gamers, the three of us, or the games that we cover, or something that comes together and brings both together, which is kind of what I'm looking for, but I'm not that creative, so I might as well outsource it. Please let us know and reach out. That's the second thing that I'll ask you. ENGN_podcast on the Twitter, Every Night is Game Night Facebook group. Go ahead and give that a join. EveryNightIsGameNight.com through Board Gamers Anonymous, or a direct geek mail. I find that I really enjoy getting that little one new notification on BGG, because I know that somebody has spent the time, they've crafted something, and they want me to check it out. I've gotten a couple of mails, including from one person. I don't know if they want to reveal themselves, but they always email after an interesting episode, kind of pointing me to a certain direction. I had an email recently talking about the Game of Thrones LCG that I recently talked about, saying that there is a solo mode. Ricky Royal has developed a solo mode for that, and we had Ricky on a while ago on a roundtable for solo variants. So I'm sure that I would want to take a look at that whenever Game of Thrones the LCG kind of comes back into my ambit, which is, I hope it's soon, because I like that game and I like the IP, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Ricky Royal has for that. But I got that through a geek mail, so keep those coming. So the last thing I'll ask is rating. 5 stars, or how many stars you think we deserve. We have a decent amount of ratings, about 50, which for a podcast this size is actually pretty good. But we can get that up there. I really want to get to 100 ratings. I'm not sure why. Maybe because I have 10 fingers and 10 toes, and I want to just, keep the round numbers going. But yeah, 100 ratings would be amazing. We're at kind of over 50 at this point, so we have a little bit of a push in order to be able to get there. But please consider giving us a rating on iTunes. That would be really helpful. So on behalf of Liz and Jeremy, we're going to see you guys next week. And as Anthony would say, go ahead and grab a game off of that shelf, and let's make every night a game night.